Dopamine. Dopamine now. Can you feel it now? Check it. Dopamine.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to DTR. I hope everyone had a wonderful festive period. We are here for a sprint weekend at Interlagos tonight. It is Division 1, so expect these drivers to be relatively quick. And, yeah, let's jump into it. Let's go. So, let's bring up not the telemetry, that's the one I want. There we go. So, let's jump to P1. Oh, and it's all going higgledy-piggledy at the moment. Moncho has decided to forego the qualifying tonight, at least for the sprint race. So we have both of the Williams up at the front at this moment in time. Cavolis currently in first place. I am surprised to see Grelis down in 13th. I expect him to come through the field during the race. Benny has taken the top spot from Cavolis at this moment in time. Will he be able to hold on to it on the straight here? Opens the DRS. Comes across the line, a 108.173. Amazing lap from the Scottish driver. Grelis taking it easy by the look of things with a 114.0. He evidently wanted to be towards the back for the sprint race. So there you have it. That is your sprint qualifying lineup. Benny followed by Miyagi, Cavolis, Stewart, Mirror, Cassell, Andre, Mast Ranger, Barry Bogarovsky, and NLD Rush for the top 10. Then we've got Havoc Connor, Tom Putty, Grelis, Skipper, and Moncho, who did not set a time. Now, this is a track which is ultimately fun to race for the likes of myself. I'm just not quick here. So, I enjoy the racing, don't enjoy the not getting podiums section. I am expecting Grelis to put in a shift and actually get up to some decent points in the sprint here, and then potentially putting himself onto a podium position for the beginning of the feature race. And to those in chat, hello the Dutch Animal and hello Andre. Hope everyone is doing well. So the drivers are now sorting out their sprint tyre allocation. Do they want to brave it out on the mediums, or do they feel that they can't last and will have to go on the hards the entire way? Let's bring up the tyres. So only one driver on the hard tyres for this evening's sprint race. That is Tom Putty in 12th. So we, of course, have our formation lap. Benny taking us around. Best get those tyres into the working temperature for the start. Of course, the tyres do like to wear out around here. I believe the rears like to wear a bit more than the fronts, making it difficult on the corners. But as long as you can keep your tyres in the temperature range, you should be fine. what I will do, once the sprint is done and dusted, I will bring up the driver standings for the feature race formation lap, because I didn't have time to do it for during the quali, and I completely forgot until now to do it through the formation lap. But what we will do our traditional of sitting on third place. Benny misses his grid box, so we will go on board with Cavolis. Stewart also misses his grid box, so they're both going to be at a disadvantage. Connor also misses his grid box, so that sets you about a foot behind where you're meant to be. It's not ideal. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And out they go and away the drivers go. That was a poor start from Cavolis. He's already been passed by Mirror and Stewart. Stewart and Benny both got themselves a decent getaway. Benny has stayed ahead of Miyagi. Stewart has jumped up to third position. Grelis is making a move on Moncho at the back of the grid. Let's see who is the closest. It is currently Stewart, right on the tailpipe of Miyagi ahead of him. Miyagi having a bit of a wobble out of the corner there. You don't really want to be doing that around this track. It will overheat your tyres. Cavolis right on the back of Mirror now, although loses a bit of time coming out of the corner, and Benny has already made a 1 second gap to Miyagi. 1:13.9 for Benny. He is absolutely flying out there for the first lap of this race. Grelis has made a move past Skipper. He now has his teammate ahead of him. So there are your strategies, mediums and hards to the end, unless you have an incident. Tom Putty, the only man on the hard tyres, still keeping with those around him on the mediums, so he might have chosen well. But of course, Andre is currently in the last paying position for the sprint. Oh, and D-Rush has been off the track and has lost all of the positions that he had. He took out one of the polystyrene boards. Miyagi is back up with Benny now. He's caught up, and Bogorovsky and Grelis both making moves past the drivers around them. Moncho diving into the first corner ahead of Skipper. I apologise. Frog in the throat. Mirror gets himself past Stewart. Cavolis takes advantage of his teammate going wide. Mars Ranger also making a move up the inside of Stewart. Stewart fighting it back though. What is going to happen here? Mars Ranger gave him the space, gave him the room, made sure not to make contact. That was good racing from Mars Ranger. Well done. Now there is a massive gap back to Mirror from Miyagi. 1.3 seconds. He is now going to be at the mercy of the Williams cars behind him. Barry Bogorovsky has to put his foot down. He is also 2 seconds behind Andre. Miyagi pulls out, has a bit of a look at Benny. Doesn't go for the move, no. Not quite close enough. Moncho gets a move done past Havoc Connor. Gets it done before the turn in for the first corner. Kavolis closing back up on Mirror. He wants to get this move done and see if he can close the gap to the guys ahead. There are a couple of gaps forming now in the train. But we do have a train from 3rd down to 8th. I'll stay on with Kavolis because he is currently the closest to the car ahead of him. Let's see. Does he have the pace to get past? Yes, he does. He makes the move on Mirror. Mirror lets it happen. Doesn't defend too hard. It's early doors. Even though we're roughly halfway through this race, he knows that he doesn't need to fight it straight away. Is he going to come back at him there? No, he's not. He decides not to. Stuart and Mars Ranger fighting behind. Mars Ranger on the inside gets the better run on Stuart. Havoc Connor gets himself a 3-second time penalty. He seems to be struggling a little bit with the setup he is currently on for this sprint. It can be quite easy to get track limit violations around this circuit, especially through the Senna S's. Both Miyagi and Benny are just pulling away up the front here. Mirror gets himself back past Kavolis. These two are now starting to swap the DRS. And to see if they can get a gap pulled to Masked Ranger behind. Let's have a look. There's not much going on further back. We will, however, stay on with Kavolis and Mirror, as they are... I was going to say they are the closest to each other, but Tom Pussy has just put a move on Grellis? Or did Grellis... No, he has done a move on Grellis, because Grellis was ahead of him. Is Grellis struggling around here? I wonder. Let's go back up with the Williams trying to chase down the Alpine. Not quite quick enough on that lap to get the move done under the DRS. Grellis gets them. Oh, Grellis and Tom Putty are fighting over 10th place. Although, it looks like Miyagi has made the move into turn 4 on Benny. Stuart gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Grellis has also made the move in turn 4 on Tom Putty. But he's now got 2.5 seconds to Barry Bogorovsky in the McLaren. Good view of the fight going on ahead between Masked Ranger and Kavolis there from Stuart's car. Is Masked Ranger going to be able to get the move done, as Mirror has broken 1 second to Kavolis, so Kavolis does not have the DRS. There goes Masked Ranger up into P4 for him. Oh, Kavolis had to brake a little bit harder than he expected, almost spun the back end round. But after that move, Masked Ranger has now got himself into the DRS of Mirror. So he was able to defend against Kavolis. Cassell wants to get past Stuart. Although he knows if he sits there, Stuart has a 3-second time penalty. So he will drop down to P8 as it is. Is Mars Ranger going to be able to make a move on Mirror? Oh no! Oh, good grief. Let's save that replay. That's unfortunate for the Aston and the Williams. Both of them ending up losing positions to that. Kavolis comes into the pits. That is unfortunate for Kavolis. Mars Ranger got himself sideways. Potentially put his foot down a bit too hard on the throttle. Unstable car, and just Kavolis could not avoid. That is unfortunate for him. Let us watch that replay. So as you can see here, just going into the left-hander, he puts his foot down and yep, he's sideways. Couldn't really do too much about it. That is seriously unfortunate for Kavolis. He did not have enough time to react to what happened ahead of him. This does change things a little bit ahead though. It means Stewart is now on the back of Cassell. And Cassell is in P4. Both Miyagi and Benny have run away. The gap is absolutely massive out to the front here. With 3 laps of the race to go, they are 5 seconds ahead of Mirror, who is in P3. Grellis and Tom Putty are fighting, and Tom Putty makes a move on Moncho. Moncho fights back with the DRS wide open. Grellis also makes the move on Tom Putty. Doesn't quite get himself past Moncho. Oh, Grellis does have damage though. I did not notice this. So something has happened somewhere along the line and Grellis has got left wing damage. Mars Ranger is now trying to catch the back of Andre. Tom Putty gets himself past Grellis through Sector 2. Of course, Grellis will be struggling with that damage. Benny has got himself past Miyagi into turn 1, into the center S as they go. Through turn 2, turn 3, Miyagi tried fighting it back through there, but had to back out. Otherwise, he would have hit the McLaren of Mr. Benny. Grellis is having... Oh my word! And that's another one for the replay. So Grellis and Tom having the fight of their lives and end up coming through turns 1, 2 and 3 side by side and clip each other. Tom is worse for wear on that one. That's unfortunate for the Mercedes driver, but it does give Grellis a bit of clean-ish air, meaning he can push on to try and pass Moncho. But after that, he's got 5 seconds to Bogorovsky. So, the front runners have now started the final lap of this race. We will stay on with Benny and Miyagi. Will we see Miyagi make a last-ditch attempt out of the final corner up the hill to try and get this position back, to try and get the win and the all-important 8 points to catch up to Grellis? Because currently Grellis is sat on 146 points in the driver's standings. Benny is on 134, I believe. No, sorry, Miyagi is on 134 and Benny is on 101. But here it comes, ladies and gents. Benny crossing the line. Benny wins the sprint. Miyagi, P2. Mira comes across in P3. Grellis has crashed somewhere, apparently. And Tom Putty has also crashed. Yep, there it is. I wonder if that was intentional from Tom Putty. I'm not certain, but that'll likely go to the stewards if it has been done. And unfortunate for this man in particular, Cavolis, fighting hard against Mars Ranger and got caught up when Mars Ranger went sideways. So there you have it for the sprint. Benny comes away with the top spot, with Miyagi in second, Mira in third, Cassell in fourth, Mars Ranger in fifth, Andre in sixth, Bogorovsky in seventh, and Stewart getting the final points position in eighth. Then we had Moncho, Skipper, Havoc Connor, NLD Rush, Cavolis, Tom Putty, and Grellis. The last two there DNF'd on the final lap. So, while we are loading here, I will bring up the driver standings. As I said, Grellis on 146 points after losing points in the last the last couple of races to Miyagi behind, who is on 134. He is now less than the 12 points behind. Mira and Benny are in third and fourth. Benny on 101, Mira on 88. Then it gets a little bit closer with Cavolis and Stewart being 9 points apart. Both of the Williams drivers being relatively consistent when they are here. Then we have Evan in P7 on 48 points, Giannis in 8th on 42, Magic Poop Cannon on 30, and Sport Mad in 10th on 24. So now we have 36 laps after a sprint quali. Moncho has retired from the sprint quali again. Andre has retired from the sprint quali. Once again, Benny is currently out in front during this qualifying session. And this time, it seems Grellis is actually trying. Maybe he didn't have the right setup on. Who knows? But Benny is still out in front. Cavolis and Grellis are swapping places. Barry Bogorovsky's doing well in this qualifying as well. Cavolis has now popped into first place. Is he going to be able to stay there for the final sector? Let's see where Cavolis is. He had a purple middle sector. No, but Benny is ahead of him by fractions of a second. There we have it. It seemed like everyone was relatively close together. The top 9 were relatively close together. So there we have it. It's going to be Benny on pole, Cavolis in P2, Grellis in P3, Mars Ranger in P4, Bogorovsky P5, Cassell P6, Mira P7, and Havoc Connor P8, Tom Putty P9, and then everyone else either got disqualified or didn't set a time. So now is the time to quickly grab a very quick drink. Oh my word, it is peeing with rain. Oh, it's like the British summer, but in Brazil. So, is this why drivers decided not to qualify? They saw what the weather was going to be doing and went, nope, don't want to do that. On top of that, have the drivers put on wet setups? We have 36 laps. Anything can happen. We don't know if it's going to be raining the entire time. I'm just going to turn my gain down on my mic. There we go. That's a little bit better. I'm not going to be deafening people now when they watch this back. I swear, I don't know what settings changed, but it just wants to be loud for some reason, both on Discord and on OBS. So the drivers are sorting out their tyre allocation. Are we going to be seeing intermediates or wets? More than likely going to be intermediates. Yep, everyone on the inters to start the race. I am surprised by a number of these drivers deciding to either get themselves disqualified or retiring before they've even crossed the line for qualifying. Moncho and D-Rush have come together and will see each other on the grid. Question is, who touched who? Sorry for me taking moments to be quiet. I've had a really rough time when it comes to my sleep schedule, and I am extremely tired. That's why I'm not as energetic as I normally am. And I'm constantly yawning, and it's not because of the racing. Not this week, at least. Ha ha. Well, Grellis had enough of Cavolis and Benny hanging about. So we will go on board with Grellis for the start of this race. It is the wet. We know pretty well that he does not like the rain, mainly because Benny beats him in the rain. So we are expecting to see that McLaren ahead shoot off into the distance at the start of this race, and potentially Cavolis follow. Here we go, ladies and gents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go. That was a shorter pause than before. Grellis gets a decent start, gets ahead of Cavolis. Cavolis had a poor start. Didn't get off the line, and he is already fighting Mars Ranger. Grellis has managed to somewhat stay with Benny, but Benny is now pulling away. Look at that. Mars Ranger right on the tail of Cavolis already. Stewart getting himself past Tom Putty. Some of the drivers seem to be struggling in the wet here. Stewart seems to be enjoying himself. He knows where he can push and where he needs to relax when it comes to passing at Interlagos in the wet. His next target is Barry Bogarowski of the McLaren ahead of him. Grelis is already almost 2 seconds down on Benny. This is how much Grelis dislikes racing in the wet and how much Benny loves it. Look at that, purple sector 2 on lap 1, absolutely flying out there. 1:25.9 for the McLaren driver. Mars Ranger gets himself past Kavolis. I am surprised by this. Kavolis usually is pretty decent in the wet. I wonder if he has had a setup change and it has upset the balance of his car. Stewart now on the back of Bogorovsky and goes down the inside at turn 4. Makes it look really easy against the Dutchman. Now Stewart is going to be pushing to try and catch Cassell ahead of him. He is outside of the DRS, back in. He is teetering on that 1 second point right now. Talking of teetering on that 1 second, Mars Ranger has caught up to the back of Grelis. But he has done it through sector 2. I wonder if he has got a higher downforce setup than the Red Bull ahead of him. We will keep an eye on it. A 1:21.7 from Benny. Fastest lap of the race so far. Okay, Mars Ranger seems to be around the same pace as Grelis, but seems to have more confidence through the corners. This could be a good race for Mars Ranger if he keeps it nice and clean. Cassell is catching up to Kavolis. Kavolis is dropping back from Mars Ranger massively now. Stewart making up a 3-car train with Cassell and his teammate Kavolis. Bogorovsky has Mirror for company. Andre gets past his teammate of Tom Putty. Both drivers being reserves this evening, of course. And Mars Ranger has now got himself past Grelis. Although Mars Ranger does have damage on the left end plate there. He is missing the end plate, as is Grelis on the right hand side. Did these two have a coming together? Well, Benny is just drying out the track, getting faster and faster with each lap. Stop showing off and let other people race with you. Let's have a look. So we've got NLD Rush and Moncho on the back of Tom Putty, who is still on the back of his teammate. Andre desperately trying to keep up with Mirror ahead of him, his compatriot in the Alpine. Miyagi seems to be struggling in the rain. Moncho forces NLD Rush wide, but then also goes wide through the right-hander, letting the Haas driver back through. Let's have a look, see who is the closest at this moment in time. It was Cassell for a split second. We have Stewart absolutely doing what he can to push that Kick Sauber forward, but is losing time here, and Cassell is right on the tail of Kavolis. Makes the move up the inside. Kavolis fighting it around the outside. Sticks his nose in. He stays where he was, and there we go. Going through the left-hander of turn 3, Cassell gets the move done. Please excuse me for 2 seconds. I just need to turn my mic off. I do apologise. I'm pretty sure none of you wanted to hear that coughing fit, so just be glad I have a mute function. Andre catching up to the back of Mirror now, who has caught the back of Bogarovsky. Benny putting in another fastest lap of the race as the dry line starts to form. Last Ranger is doing a brilliant job out here. Only 6 seconds behind Benny now, with Grape Spade, or Grellis even, being 3.5 seconds behind him. A lot of people seem to be spreading out now. Meanwhile, Mirror is almost into the back of Bogarovsky there. Moncho trying to work his way forward into the point-paying positions. Currently in 11th, with Tom Putty ahead. Benny with a 120.6. He is absolutely flying out there today. He is doing the McLaren's work. 7 seconds ahead of the Aston Martin behind him now. This is very much his domain. Stewart getting very close to the back of Cassell right now. Had to back out of it by the look of it. Mirror right on the tail of Bogarovsky, almost going into him. Will Bogarovsky give the position? Yes, he relinquishes. Breaks earlier, thinks better of defending. Makes the safer option. Miyagi trying to make a move on D-Rush and getting it done when the Dutch driver has gone wide through turn 4. We then have Skipper further back, followed by Havoc Connor, which is unfortunate. He also has damage on that right side, missing the right end plate. So both of the Red Bulls are matching on their levels of damage. Both seem to be struggling respectively compared to how they normally would be doing in this division. Of course, Grellis will be happy with a P3. It means that he does stay in first place in the drivers if he finishes here. It will mean the top 3 do not change positions. I do apologise for all of the flubs that I am currently doing. Cassell is going to try and challenge Grellis for the podium position, though. He's right on the tail of the Red Bull right now. Is he going to be patient? Andre gets himself past Bogarovsky, who seems to have had a bit of a mistake going into Sector 2. Now let's go back on with Cassell. Let's see if the Kick-Sauber has got the straight line speed to catch the Red Bull. Not something you would hear IRL. And of course, next season it will be... Oh, who caused the safety car? Where was that? What happened? Andre and Bogarovsky come into the pits. Skipper gets a drive-through penalty for speeding It was Havoc Connor. He has lost his front wing. Dear, oh dear. Is he going to get speeding in the pit lane? Slow down, Connor. Slow down. Okay. For once, he doesn't get 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. I am surprised, though. Only 4 drivers pitted. Havoc Connor will now have his work cut out for him. Benny will pick up the safety car and likely be screaming at Havoc Connor after the race due to losing this 9-second gap that he had on P2. So let's have a quick look at the penalties. So Skipper has a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. And Connor has a 3-second time penalty for track infringements. So another 4 drivers into the pits. We have Mars Ranger Cavolis, Mirror and Grelis all in to get a new set of inters on their cars. It's always a good idea to stop under the safety car, especially on the inters, because when that dry line comes in, it does start to heat your tyres and wear them exponentially. So let's have a look at this stage in the race. The biggest winner, if he stays out right now, is Stewart, up 10 positions, followed by Miyagi, up 9. The biggest loser will be Barry Bogorovsky and Grelis, down 8 positions apiece. So we have got a fair amount of time to wait for these cars to catch up as Stewart now comes into the pits to get a fresh set of rubber on those tyres. Probably should have done it the lap before. Benny now running on the wet side of the track to try and cool his inters to make the rubber last that little bit longer into this race. Weirdly enough, this is the closest any driver has been to Benny since lap 1. And I'm not on about Mylander. So, let's have a look through the cars. We have Tom, who is about to catch up. Then Miyagi, D-Rush, Stewart, Andre, all in a train, about to catch. Everyone seems to be relatively close, apart from Skipper, Bog, Moncho, and Connor. So I have a feeling it will be next lap that we will be coming in. Did I just see Connor having another issue going through that corner? Did he almost hit the wall? He does not seem happy on that setup in the rain. Maybe he's running his dry setup and was hoping for a shorter raining period. Who knows? let's just hope that we don't see any of the Mercedes cars diving up the inside. Oh my word. Bogarovsky got himself a 10-second time penalty for a severe collision. That is unlike Bogarovsky. I wonder if that was... I didn't catch if it was Skipper or Moncho who caused that. I think it might have been Skipper. But Bog has now got a damaged front wing as the safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap. That is going to absolutely ruin his race. Yep, there we go. Safety car is in at the end of the lap. Benny assumes pace control of the group. Now, when will the McLaren driver decide to put his foot down? And he's gone. Cassell caught sleeping. He was caught with his trousers round his ankles. And Mars Ranger took advantage but goes deep. Stays ahead of Tom Putty though, importantly for him. Andre dives around the outside of D-Rush there. Kavolis also gets himself past the Haas driver. The Haas driver is fighting it back though around the outside. Doesn't manage to fight it back though, and Grelis also gets past in that melee. Stewart now gets himself past Tom Putty. Andre is now past Miyagi as well. The drivers who came in for fresh tyres seem to be putting the rubber to good use. Now it's down to Mars Ranger to try and get himself past Cassell and catch up to Benny. Because out of the top three, Mars Ranger is the one with the freshest of the Inter tyres. Stuck on the outside, doesn't want to touch the grass. There's a glitch saying safety car. It confused the hell out of me there for a second. Mars Ranger gets the move done through turns 2 and 3. Havoc Connor has left the session. Give me 2 seconds, ladies and gents. I need to get him an invite. Please don't tell me that it's me who has left the session. Cassell seems to be having some form of issue out there. Oh, as Stewart goes wide. Andre, now on the back of his teammate, is going to be being put on... Oh my word, his teammate collides with him. That's not good for the Mercedes team. 119.9 from Benny now. He is still absolutely flying out front. Grelis makes 1 move. He makes 2 moves. Doesn't make it 3 through turn 1, but he can potentially make it... Jeez Louise. That became a car park right there through turn 2. Amazing 1-2 move from Grelis down the start-finish straight to put him into P7 at this moment in time. He has got a lot of work to do to get himself back into the podium positions. So we have Skipper and Barry Bogarowski well off of the running as it stands, which is unfortunate for the McLaren driver. But he has now pit and served his 10-second penalty, along with getting his wing repaired as well. Masked Ranger absolutely putting in the work to try and stay with Benny as best he can. It's a fastest lap for the Aston Martin. Benny will be surprised to see that, as in the rain, Benny is usually the fastest driver. NLD Rush trying to make the move on Tom Putty. Doesn't come off, but he does get a good drive out of turn 3. Bit of a wobble from Moncho behind him, though. D-Rush up the inside in turn 4. Havoc Connor gets himself another 3-second time penalty. There seemed to be a bit of collision between NLD Rush and Tom Putty, and D-Rush loses out to Moncho. Kavolis gets himself a 3-second time penalty as Mirror has been spun around. Dear oh dear. Grelis now on the rear of Miyagi, wanting to move forward, get more points. Stewart is also on the back of Cassell. Benny at 1:19.290. Not been matched by Masked Ranger this time round. Miyagi makes the move on Andre. Grelis forces his way between the two cars and up the inside of turn 1. Will he be able to hang it around the outside of 2? No. Miyagi closes the door. Will he be able to make the run down into turn 4? Not quite got the pace to keep with Miyagi through the straight down into turn 4 there. I wonder if Andre will be reporting Grelis for that aggressive manoeuvre on the start-finish straight. I understand the frustration, but there's a certain limit that you should not be pushing people. Kavolis now on the back of Andre, trying to hurry the Polish driver along. Andre wanting to be the next Robert Kubica, as Masked Ranger now gets a 1:19.127, showing Benny that he is not the only fast, wet runner in this division. As Kavolis gets himself past Andre and Grelis gets himself past Miyagi. He will be happy about that. He can now move forward, try and close the gap to Stewart ahead, who has struggled to get past Cassell. Masked Ranger is now within a second of Benny. Masked Ranger has put in several fast laps to try and catch up to Benny. Havoc Connor gets himself past D-Rush through turns 4 and 5. Stewart is good and close to the back of Cassell. Is he going to be able to capitalise down the start-finish straight? Let's see what Masked Ranger is doing. He has got himself a purple sector 2. Is it going to be a fastest lap? No, it is not. Is Stewart going to be able to catch Cassell? It seems that Cassell has the lower downforce setup than Stewart. Stewart just can't catch him there as Miyagi comes into the pits. So that brings Havoc Connor up into the points. Finally, for the Red Bull driver, He will be quite happy about that. Stewart again is right on the back of Cassell through the second sector. I think this proves that he has the higher downforce setup because he has the supreme confidence through the corners. He knows that he can get right up behind this car and not lose the traction. But it's when the cars start to accelerate down the straights, he cannot seem to keep up. Mars Ranger is within half a second of Benny now. This is one hell of a drive from the Aston Martin. Not what we expected when he joined. Oh, a bit of a corner cut and losing traction and speed coming out of turn one. Stewart still stuck behind Cassell, not able to make the pass. Mirror is now going to be hunting Havoc Connor. Is Havoc Connor going to make the move? He goes defensive against Mirror. Oh, a bit of a dive and really should not have been there, I think, but we'll see what is said after the race. Andre now within a second of Moncho ahead of him. The front two are absolutely running away. They are currently 9 seconds ahead of Cassell in P3. This is an absolutely outstanding race from these two here. But I believe... Yes, Mars Ranger has stopped. Benny has not. Benny has done 20 laps on those intermediate tyres. They will likely be screaming at him now. This might be the reason why Mars Ranger has been able to catch up to the back of him. Havoc Connor gets himself past Tom Putty. Let's have a look at the penalty situation. So Cavolis has 3-second penalty, Connor has 6 seconds, both for track limit violations. Andre is now closer to the back of Moncho than he was before, as is Stewart on the back of Cassell. But is he going to be able to burn the battery on the straight and make a move count? Now, I'm just going to quickly do this to see what it's like from the driver perspective. It looks... Oh, well, Connor gets himself another 3-second time penalty. It looks like the rain is getting lighter with the track seemingly drying up more and more. Cassell comes into the pits. Is he coming... Oh, that's a 10-second time penalty. This is Cassell's first pit stop. So, Stewart now inherits P3 from the Kick-Sauber. Grellis quickly closing in on the back of the Williams in P4. There is now 11, almost 12 seconds between the Aston Martin of Mars Ranger and the Williams of Stewart. These front two have shown a real masterclass of how to drive in the wet this evening. All I'm hoping is that it doesn't rain tomorrow for Division 2. Because I'll be slow either way. I'd just be slower in the rain than I would in the dry. And still, Benny does not pit. Is he waiting for the dry weather? Because I feel as soon as it is dry enough, Benny will come in and go onto the medium tyre. Or if it's late enough, the soft tyre. If it ends up being lap 30 and the track is dry enough, I believe he will go to softs. Havoc Connor comes into the pits. Let's have a look. Andre is, apart from Mars Ranger, the closest driver to anyone else right now. Skipper also comes into the pits on lap 23. So Andre is currently in an Alpine sandwich. Is Moncho going to be able to keep Andre behind and get Mirror to pass him? No, Mars Ranger gets himself a 3-second time penalty. You've been doing so well. It's unfortunate. Probably a slide through turns 2 and 3. Tom Putty also gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Andre comes into the pits. Now Mars Ranger is really putting the hammer down. He wants to get past Benny and create a time gap between him and the McLaren so that his 3-second time penalty will not count for anything. But he needs to be patient. He needs to wait and not cause an incident. He goes for it through the final corner. That was actually a good move from Mars Ranger. Well done. Hello, Lulu. Welcome in. Stuart is doing quite well. He started relatively far back, if I remember correctly, as he now comes into the pits. Oh my word! Well, I'm glad I caught that on the stream. But Benny and Stuart now come into the pits for what I believe is their first pit stop each. Actually, it might be Stuart's second stop. We will wait and see. But this means Mars Ranger now has a 13-second buffer to Grelis, but it looks like the track has now dried out. I'm doing very well, Lulu. I'm guessing you are the Lulu who was friends with Stuart and Connor. You will actually know me. Let us see what they have gone on to. Benny, Stuart, Miyagi, Andre, Cassell, Connor, Tom Putty, Skipper and NLD Rush are all on the dry tyres now. Is Mars Ranger going to stay on the inters? Or is he going to come in a lap or two time? Yes, hello Lulu. The fact that you said my name says it all. Mirror gets himself past Benny. Oh my word, what is Moncho doing? Moncho is having a time of it out there. That was a big tank slapper from Moncho, losing him 2 positions. Skipper gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Bogorovsky is still on those intermediate tyres when it could be full dry running now. I mean, Lulu, the fact that you said Summers, you're commenting on Stuart, and your name is Lulu. It's all there, really. Andre gets himself a 3-second time penalty. You do not want to be doing that, especially when you have the likes of Miyagi who will be coming along behind you. So, will Benny be able to make up the positions? Who is currently on... Okay, so Benny is the first of the dry runners, followed by Stuart, who is 14 seconds behind him. Barry Bogorovsky is the last of the inter-runners. He probably should come in for a set of dry tyres, as Kavolis and Mira both come in now. Moncho stays out for another lap, along with Mars Ranger and Grellis. I believe Connor's only in a Red Bull because someone asked him to be. So don't be too disappointed in him. So, both Kavolis and Stewart come out... Oh, sorry, Kavolis and Mira come out on medium tyres, and they are ahead of Stewart, who is in P7. Lulu, the link is going to be in the description to the Discord. DTR, Delta T Racing. Either that or you can message Stuart, Grellis, or Connor, and they will give you an invite. So Mars Ranger is still out there on these intermediate tyres. If he goes into the pits now and decides to pit onto a set of dries, I believe he will still come out ahead of Benny. Because he has, what, 34... 45-second gap back to Benny. So if Mars Ranger decides to come into the pits and go onto the dry tyres, he has the time to do so. Same with Grellis, he also has the time to do so. Moncho, not so much. He has a 12-second gap between him and Benny, who is net P1. Mars Ranger now comes into the pits. Grellis stays out. Andre gets himself a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane and retires from the session. Why, Andre? Why? You're going to get yourself a penalty for that as well. Let us see what is going on. Yep, Mars Ranger has now come out on medium tyres, well ahead of Moncho, well ahead of Benny. I believe Benny has thrown away his win here tonight. It's unfortunate for the Scotsman, but that is the gamble you take. Okay, that kind of makes sense, Andre. I will sort that out for you, Lulu, okay? Either that or you can message Connor or Stuart and they can sort it for you as well. So, Andre was on the soft tyres. They weren't going to last to the end, and also he had to... deal with a porcelain emergency, let's just say. So that is the reasoning for his retirement. So Grellis is still out there on the intermediate tyres. Moncho finally comes into the pits, gets himself a 10-second time penalty. Grelis has 6 more laps to go, or 6.5 laps to go on these intermediates. Masked Ranger could catch up to him, although he does have the back marker, but he's in P10 of Havoc Connor ahead of him and could slow him up to stop him from catching Grelis. There have been ups and downs, Lulu. That's all I'll say for now. As Grelis has now come into the pits, did not get himself a 10-second time penalty. Masked Ranger is now on the move, getting himself past the back marker of Havoc Connor and past Grelis, who is in the pits. Where is Benny? Benny is still not round the final corner. Lulu, you have to remember, around here it's difficult to get turns 1, 2 and 3 correct every single time, especially if you are on controller, and especially when it has been raining. So let's have a look at these penalties now, because everyone and their dog has one. Connor gets himself another one as I start saying that. Masked Ranger has 3-second time penalty. Kavolis also, along with TGL Stewart, Tom Putty, NLD Rush and Skipper all on 3 seconds. Moncho has a 10-second, Cassell has 13 and Connor has 15 seconds of penalties. Everyone is now on the dry tyres, some on the softer compounds than others, as Masked Ranger puts himself into fastest lap. Is he going to be able to keep this pace up and keep Grelis behind? Connor gets himself another 3-second time penalty. Connor, one of your adoring fans is in the chat and watching the stream. You are letting them down by getting all of these penalties. Do better. Although, I will say, Lulu, come back again tomorrow because there is Division 2. Connor does much better in Division 2 than he does in Division 1 normally. So, let us get back to the racing. There are a lot of gaps now. Everyone seems to be quite spread out. The closest driver at the moment is Moncho to his teammate Mirror. Only 1.2 seconds separating them. You can see them together on the track. Mirror is catching up to Stewart at this moment in time, though. Slowly but surely reeling the Williams driver in. Seems like Stewart is having some form of issue. He might not be enjoying his current setup. Meanwhile, Mirror putting in a purple sector too. Absolutely flying at this moment in time. And is now within DRS of Stewart. And getting himself fastest lap, a 1:17.211. A great showing from the Polish driver here. He might only be in P6, but points are points. Yeah, it seems like Stewart is really having trouble out there right now. He, oh my word, almost put it sideways. Masked Ranger responds to Mirror's fastest lap with a 1:16.921. Masked Ranger is not going to let this go. Grelis now a 1:16.895, only less than a tenth faster on the softer compound. Miyagi gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Both of the Alpines are now chasing down the ex-Alpine driver. NLD Rush gets himself another 3-second time penalty. Only 4 drivers are penaltyless at this moment in time. And they will be Grelis, Benny, Mirror, who now gets himself past Stewart with the aid of DRS. No problem, Lulu. Thank you for dropping into the stream. Make sure to give the league a follow. You know this drill. Mars Ranger putting in another fastest lap of 1:16.863. Moncho will want to get himself past Stewart. Stewart, he's flirting with that 1 second. Let's see if he gets it. Did the Williams get the DRS? No, he did not. He is now at risk of Moncho behind. Mirror, 1:16.274. Moncho goes up the inside of Stewart and gets the move done into turn 2. And in just a moment, we will go on board with Mars Ranger for his final lap of the race. So he has now started the final lap. It has been one hell of a race from Mars Ranger. Is he still only on 3 seconds? Miyagi now with a 1:15.927 as the fastest lap. So it's only a 3-second time penalty. Grelis would need to catch 9 seconds in this lap. So unless Mars Ranger ends up facing backwards somewhere around this lap, which he might do, he's sliding everywhere. This man has put on a stellar race for us tonight. We might have a new King of the Wet at DTR in Division 1. And there it is. Masked Ranger wins the Brazilian Grand Prix for DTR Season 14. Grelis coming across the line gets himself P2. Not a bad finish for the Red Bull driver. Benny will be kicking himself for the fact that he came out on the medium tyres potentially a bit too early. He gets P3 and fastest lap on the final lap. Kavolis coming across the line in P4. Mirror in P5 and getting fastest lap and jumping Kavolis. Moncho drops to P7. Stewart gets P6. And the final driver to cross the line will be Barry Bogarowski, finishing in P8. Miyagi gets himself P9, Cassell in P10, Tom Putty P11, Havoc Connor P12, Skipper and D-Rush P13 and 14 respectively. I do apologise for the monotone. and the having to mute myself due to a coughing fit earlier on. But no matter how monotone I sound, that was a really fun race to watch. I was not expecting Mars Ranger to come out on top. I was expecting Benny to run away with it. And I was kind of expecting Grelis to not exactly be on the podium, because he doesn't like racing in the wet. But well done to the podium drivers. Driver of the day is Mirror with the fastest lap as well. Stewart with the most overtakes. Cleanest driver was Barry Bogorovsky, of course. And race winner, Mars Ranger. So overall, Mars Ranger gets the maximum points that he could, or the most points that he could, at 29 points. Benny gets 23. Mirror gets 18. Grelis also gets 18 points. Kavolis gets himself 10 points. Miyagi and Stewart get 9 points. Cassell, Bog and Moncho get 6. And Andre gets 3 points in total. So, let us go to our end screen here. So, not exactly the race I was expecting, not the race finish I was expecting, especially. But nonetheless, a good race to watch. I hope you've all enjoyed yourselves. Now, tomorrow, 8 PM GMT, we have Division 2. Grelis will be commentating here for the sprint and the feature race. And then next week, I will be back with Division 1 for round 10. So, thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Good night.